Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. If you're just getting on the line, we're happy to have you here. And I'm just going to have everyone mute themselves. You can either do that on your phone by hitting the mute button, or if you do *6, that will also mute you. I'm excited to be talking about the topic today. And I have so much I want to share that I'm going to get started right now. Initially, I thought that I wasn't going to have enough to fill up 30 minutes. And then once I started putting my notes together yesterday, I realized I better talk fast. But first of all, I want to acknowledge I am Denise Gagner, and I work in partnership with 3 very brilliant women on Mindset Monday. And we take turns each Monday to bring you something to think about. It's going to be information that we hope will inspire you, or that it might start you thinking in ways you had not been thinking in a new way. But what I want you to know is that everything that we're presenting, we've learned from someone else, and we are giving you our perspective of that information. And actually, what's kind of interesting, today's topic, the quality of your questions identifies the quality of your life. The interesting thing is that I had been talking about this for years, and then all of a sudden one day I was listening to YouTube videos for inspiration, and lo and behold, Tony Robbins said the very same thing. And I thought to myself, how dare he steal that from me? Which I'm sure sometime in years prior I probably heard him say it and loved it so much I started repeating it over and over again until I thought it was my own idea. I have been so focused on questions for such a long time that years ago, when I did a lot of hiring and firing of people, in the job interviews, if I had 2 people who had resumes that were quite similar, but one of the 2 people asked me questions, that person went on to either the next level of interviews or getting hired. If I had somebody with an outstanding resume who did not ask me any questions, they weren't an option, because I wanted to know that they were interested in my business. If they weren't asking me any questions, then they probably really weren't interested in getting the job, and I didn't want to hire someone who was just going to leave right away. And then when I owned my own portrait studio, I told all my parents, the sign of intelligence is the more questions that your child asks. Curiosity is the sign of intelligence. So have patience with all the questions that they will ask you, because the more answers they get, then the more they learn. But I want to tell you where there are 2 places where I really learned about questions. The first, I'm going to start with one of them at the beginning of this presentation and end with another. The first was from Noah St. John. If you look him up, he's an inspirational speaker, and he really got his start based on questions. The quality of your questions identifies the quality of your life. And he tells a story about how he lived in a little teeny tiny apartment in like New York or Manhattan, something like that. And that he could reach his hands, stretch his hands out and touch both walls. The apartment was so small. And everywhere in his apartment, he had affirmations posted all over the place, even in the shower. And one day, actually, while he was in the shower, he realized that there were questions he was asking, like, why aren't these affirmations working? And that what he realized, what dawned on him, and in fact, he had to ask himself more questions before he actually, the true light bulb came on. What he realized was that his life, where he was in life, was based on the questions and not the affirmations. And then he just started thinking about this more and more, and asking more questions, and he realized that affirmations make things firm, and that he was trying to make firm things that he didn't actually believe. They're very powerful statements, but he didn't believe in them. And so every time he would try to, that he would repeat the question or the affirmations, in addition to saying the affirmation, there was the, but I don't really believe that. And so he came up with a new word. He actually invented a new word. With new technology, with new thoughts, we create new words, and he created a new word. And the new word is affirmation, to bring into shape, to bring your questions into form. What happens when we ask questions is that our human mind automatically searches for answers. Okay? So with affirmations are great, but my suggestion is to take your affirmation and create a question with it, such as, let's take the affirmation, I am rich. You could say, I am rich, all day long, and you're also going to say, no, I'm not, but I'm not rich. But what if you said, why am I so rich? What is your brain doing? Your brain is looking for answers. When you say, I am rich, your brain is saying, no, you're not. When you say, why am I so rich? Your brain is going to go start looking for answers. So instead of asking yourself, why isn't this working? Why don't I even try? How come I can't lose weight? Why don't I ever have enough money? The answers to these questions are ineffective, right? They're unproductive. They're fruitless. They're not going to get you anywhere. When you ask disempowering questions, you're going to get a negative answer. It's going to lead you to a life that you don't want. It's going to lead you to an outcome that you're really not looking for. A disempowering question undercuts your confidence, and it sabotages your outcome. A disempowering question focuses more on the failure. What you want to do is ask empowering questions that are going to lead your life in the direction, in the outcome that you're hoping for, that you're wanting. probably a life of more ease and success, right? Empowering questions solve problems. Empowering questions create solutions. They're encouraging. They encourage you. So if you change your questions, you're going to change your life. If you start asking empowering questions, so let's bring this to World Global Network or any network marketing company. If you are asking yourself today, why haven't I made it to diamond rank yet? The answers you're going to get are the answers of why you haven't made it there. Instead, I encourage you to ask, and I get goosebumps when I'm about to say this, how am I a successful diamond rank leader? Who will be my diamond team this week? What actions can I take to easily make diamond rank? Easily. You even get to put adjectives in there, right? So ask the questions that are going to empower you to the outcome you want. Don't ask the questions that keep you in a victim mode. In fact, one of the questions that I always tell everybody not to ask until you get strong enough to know how to ask that question in a more powerful way. And I'll even give you a suggestion of how you can ask it. But the question that you don't want to ask until you get stronger is a why question. A why question usually is that of the victim. Why isn't it working? Why me? Why can't I do this? So instead, try to change it into, how is this working? How can I make this work? You're truly curious. The empowering questions have curiosity around them. I am curious. How can I make this work? How will it work? How do I see it working? Right? It's empowering. When you've gained strength through these questions, guess what question you're going to ask? 2 questions. Guess what questions you're then going to ask? Why not me? And why not now? Okay. Oh, my goodness. They bring tears to my eyes. I want to bring this back to last night's training at the World Changers Convention with Nat and Shanita, Chad and Natita. It started out with Chad and Natita. And they did training, and some of us have heard this before. Their training last night revolved around questions, even though they didn't quite say that. And 3 of the questions they said is that people are going to ask us, do I like what she's doing to me? Could I do what she is doing to me? And would I want to do what she's doing to me, to my family and friends? And they talked about getting to know someone when you first meet someone. And what questions can you ask them to learn more about them? And there's an acronym. It's called FORM. Ask them about their family. Ask them about their occupation. Ask them about their recreation, their hobbies. And ask them what motivates them. Now, this motivation part is good if it's somebody new that you're just meeting, but really it's a great question to ask your team at any given time and any given day. And one of the questions I like is, if you woke up tomorrow morning debt-free and with $1 million in your bank account, what would you do? Based on the answer that someone might give you, it's going to tell you what's important to that person, what motivates that person. That's a very quality question. Okay? You don't want to ask dead-end questions like, do you want to join, and what did you like? You might ask, are you open to taking a look? Are you interested in looking at additional streams of income? Would you be curious about a new revenue stream? That's something that you might ask a chiropractor. Or a suggestion that Nat and Chinita said last night was, would you prefer the Biozen pack or the Helo pack? And then when they answer, what did you like about it? You'd notice that you're truly curious. What did you like? And then I liked this. I thought this was interesting. Do you want to save money or make money? And they gave a whole, it was a short explanation, but they gave an explanation about that. So I encourage that if you can watch the replay, you should. And then when you're reaching out to someone and inviting them, you're going to ask, is this a good time? A good time to talk? Can we talk? Is this a good time to talk? Are you married to what you're doing? And if I send you a 3-minute video, when could you watch it? And when you get the answer, you then say, okay, can we put this on my calendar? Because I have a busy schedule. You're always asking for the next appointment. And then you follow up, and you're going to ask, maybe, what did you like about it? Again, you don't want to ask, did you like it? Or what did you like? What did you, a yes or no. You don't want to ask a yes or no question. And then another thing I like to do is I like to say very specific things, like, isn't it interesting how this can affect our lives? Isn't it interesting how we can monitor our loved ones? I actually pull out benefits from the video and ask a question about that specific benefit, as opposed to asking them what they liked. I am telling them what they should be liking in a question form. And then Chad talked about handling objections. And what he said was, when they ask you a question, which they ask often in an objection form, what you want to do is repeat their objection as a question, making sure that you understand what they're saying, but you might repeat it back in just a little different way. Sometimes it's just the inflection that you use. They might say that they think this is a pyramid scheme, and you might say, tell me more about that. What does a pyramid scheme mean? But one of the things that Chad talked about with regards to this is the person who asks the questions controls the conversation. So what I want to encourage you is that whether you are reaching out to someone for an invitation or you're following up beforehand, I want you to ask questions to yourself about that person. I want you to get curious about that person. A lot of times I'll have one of my team members come to me asking for help. They'll say, I sent an invitation out and now they're curious, what should I do? And my question, I always ask a question. What do you know about them? Tell me more about them. Who are they? What's their personality? What's their occupation? Tell me more about their family. And then a lot of times the answer I get back from my team member will be, oh, I don't know. And then I'll say, go find those answers. And then we'll know how to follow up with them. Okay? Another question that Chad asked last night, and I see some of this within the Hilo.life. Notice that with Hilo.life, when somebody gets started, what's the first thing we do? We have them answer questions. And why? So we can better identify how to coach them, how to move them, how to manage them, how to establish their success. And one of them is, I actually am not sure if this is one, but are you in the business for big success or small success? You might not actually answer that question, but you're going to ask questions to identify. Why are you in the business? What is it? What is your goals? What is your anticipation? In your current situation, how long would it take for you to get to your life goals? If I could show you how to do it in 18 months, would you be interested in it? Would you be interested? That was one of the suggestions that Chad had last night. If you're getting to know somebody, or if you have a new member, or if you have a team member that you need to get reacquainted with, ask them, if you could be proud of one accomplishment between now and next year, what would you want it to be? What would you want that accomplishment to be? Then Nat and Shanita talked, and part of what they talked about was, do you believe in yourself? Ask that question. Do you believe in yourself? And actually, that's probably our biggest block. We believe in World Global Network. We believe in the product. We believe in the compensation plan. We believe in the leadership. But do you believe in yourself? Do you believe? I believe you believe that World Global Network will be $1 billion company. Do you believe it? If someone questioned you, can you, boom, answer that? I tell them why World Global Network will be $1 billion company and how easily actually it can be. Do you believe, though, that you will be successful? Do you believe that? The question isn't, can you be successful? The question isn't, can you become a diamond? The question is, will you do it? Will you take and do the effort? Oh, I'm getting goosebumps again. Will you do the effort that is needed? Will you go outside of your comfort level? Will you do today what you've never done to achieve this success, to get to diamond? What would you change today if you knew you couldn't fail? What I like to say, though, is what would you change today if there was no such thing? If you didn't care about failure, who cares? When I started my portrait studio, I said, because when I started my portrait studio, I was 47 years old. And I had wanted a portrait studio since I was 17. And I let a lot get in between in those 30 years. And then I got to the point that I said, I would rather fail than not try. I encourage you to be at that point today. Be at the point where you would rather fail than not try, than not put the effort in it. And when you are there, what are you going to change? What's going to be different? There's a saying, he who asks questions remains a fool for 5 minutes, because it takes 5 minutes to get the answer. He who does not ask questions remains a fool forever. I encourage you today to go ask questions, whether that is questions of yourself or whether that's an invitation or it's reaching out to that team member that you're just not certain which direction they're going or if they're going in a direction. Go ask some hard questions today. Ask the hard questions in order to get to the easy questions. And asking the hard questions over and over again is going to make them easier. Okay. I want to come back to the why not me? Why not now? And then 2 questions, and I have to say this fast. I knew this half hour would go fast. 2 questions that I want you to etch them into your brain, okay? 2 questions. They basically have the same outcome. What more is possible, and how can it get any better than this? And here's the story. And this is another, I told you at the beginning that it was, I learned from Noah St. John, and these 2 questions I learned from Access Consciousness. What more is possible? How can it get any better than this? There's a story about a woman who went to an Access Consciousness weekend and learned these questions. What more is possible? How can it get any better than this? She walks out of the hotel, and there's a dime on the ground. And she says, how can it get any better than this? And she gets into a cab, and there's cash laying on the back seat. And she's like, what more is possible? And she gets out of the cab at her next destination, and there's a diamond bracelet laying on the floor. And guess what she said? Well, it can't get any better than that. And now she has stopped the cycle. I want you to increase. Here's another thing, one last. Let's say that you walk out to your car today and there's a flat tire. And you could say, why me? It's so cold outside. Why me? Or you could say, how can it get any better than this? And a stranger comes to you and says, do you need some help? And that stranger ends up being your next diamond, your next president millionaire. What if that was possible? The quality of your questions identifies the quality of your life. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I encourage everybody to go out there and ask some great questions. Thank you for being here today. We'll be back next Monday at the same time, same place. Have a great week. Thank you. Bye.